All right, so today we're digging into a real Hollywood mystery. You have one of the industry's brightest new stars who was absolutely everywhere, and then poof, she was gone. We're looking at a recent analysis from the YouTube channel WWW Pro that claims to know exactly why. And, well, it all comes down to a number with a whole lot of zeros.
I mean, think about it. One minute, Rachel Zegler is the face of this huge new Disney movie. The next, according to this source, it's just complete radio silence. They say not an article, not a peep, not a squeak. So the question they're asking is pretty simple. What on earth happened?
The answer, at least according to WDW Pro, boils down to this one staggering number. They're alleging that the actors may have cost Disney more than $300 million. A figure so unbelievably massive, it could basically reshape a career overnight. And that leads us to the explosive claim that's really at the heart of this whole analysis. They argue this wasn't just a case of a movie not doing well. No, they claim that as a direct result of that number, the star was quietly and very effectively exited from Hollywood. Here's the claim in their own words. The source basically says the financial fallout was so bad that the studio is, to put it lightly, not happy. They even suggest Zegler is now on something of a do not hire list. Okay, so let's get into it. Because a claim this big, you gotta show your work, right? So how exactly does this source get to that jaw-dropping $300 million figure? Well, it's a calculation with a few key steps. First thing you have to look at is the production cost. According to their breakdown of a Forbes report, even after you apply a pretty hefty tax credit, we're talking nearly $65 million, the total cost just to make the Snow White film still came in at a massive $271.6 million. But wait, that's not the whole story. Not even close. The source then adds in the marketing budget. Their high-end estimate for promoting this movie around the world is another $150 million. You can see how this is starting to add up to a colossal sum. And here's where the math gets absolutely brutal. They add it all up. A total cost of around $421 million. Then you subtract the studio's share of the ticket sales. And here's the kicker. Studios only get about half the box office money. So that $205 million in ticket sales only brings them about $103 million. The final result they land on? A stunning potential loss of nearly $319 million. So if those numbers are the what, the next obvious question is the why. How did this happen? According to the source, this financial disaster wasn't just bad luck. They point the finger directly at what they call one of the greatest marketing disasters they've ever seen. So yeah, how does a movie lose that kind of money? The source argues it wasn't just a bad film. They say it was a self-inflicted wound. They claim the star herself became the central problem, kicking up controversies that turned off the movie's core audience before a single ticket was even sold. This quote from the WW Pro video really summarizes their view of the star's interviews. They argue that her comments about the original Snow White story just came across as an attack on the very nostalgia and tradition that a movie like this is supposed to celebrate. The source then lays out this timeline. It starts with those interviews, it escalates when she apparently brings up a geopolitical conflict, and it all ends in what they point to as total social media silence since early 2024, right after one final politically charged post. But WDD Pro argues this isn't just about one star or one movie. They frame it as part of a much bigger, almost predictable cycle in Hollywood. You build a star up, you promote them like crazy, and if they become a financial problem, you just discard them and move on to the next one. And to really make their point, they compare Rachel Zegler to Brie Larson. Both faced a lot of public backlash, but the source points out what they see as a key difference. Larson has seemingly weathered that storm and revamped her image, while Zegler has, in their words, disappeared from the public zeitgeist. The source even calls Zegler 2024's Bad Bunny. They're saying they see the exact same pattern. The big media machine hypes up a personality only to move on to the next big thing once the last star is destroyed by the very controversy that same machine helped create. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? According to the source video, this is way more than just celebrity gossip. They see it as a powerful, cautionary tale about the incredibly unforgiving nature of the Hollywood system. And this is how they powerfully summarize their verdict. It is a grim metaphor, for sure, suggesting that the very system that builds you up as a star can and will lead you straight to your professional demise if you don't play the game exactly right. And that leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling thought.
In an industry where a single movie can allegedly cost a studio over $300 million, the analysis from this source really forces us to ask, in today's Hollywood, is any star, no matter how bright they shine, truly too big to fail?